slight delay in starting today. Nothing like some internet issues kicking in right as trying to start a webinar. So appreciations to everyone out there joining us. And I am super excited to have with us today a presentation by Brad Sumrok. Brad is an apartment investor and educator here in Dallas, Texas, and has helped to educate hundreds of apartment investors from across the U.S. And his students have probably invested into thousands of units all across the country. So we're really excited to have his presentation here today. But before we get started, I do just have a couple quick announcements for you guys. And again, hopefully this comes through okay. I've been having some issues this morning, so bear with if I sound a bit robotic. I'll get through these pretty quickly. But if it's your first time joining us for one of our webinars here at Quest, here at Quest Trust Company, we are a self-directed IRA custodian. So we teach investors how to use their IRAs to invest into assets outside of the stock market. So our clients at Quest use their IRAs to invest into real estate, notes, and other types of privately held assets. Now, along with this, we do a ton of education. We have clients and events that we host across the U.S. And you will see here at the bottom, do have a quick disclaimer. This is really important. Please be aware that at Quest, we do not give tax or investment advice. This presentation, just like every other class that we host, is for education purposes only. So please make sure that you do your diligence before you enter into investments. And if you have questions, reach out to us. We're always happy to help. We love educating about how to invest with a self-directed IRA and how to do the safe and secure way. If you guys have questions, reach out to us. I do actually have Katie, our IRA specialist, here online with me on today's webinar. So if you guys have questions, reach out to us and we'll be more than happy to answer those for you. Now, a couple of quick announcements that we have. If you guys are familiar with Quest, I know that we get a lot of our clients watch these events, and I wanted to share with you some exciting new features that we have recently added to our online client portal. We have put a lot of effort in behind the scenes to really improve this client portal over the last couple of years. And if you guys have an account with Quest, I would definitely encourage you to go check it out. You can actually upload all our investment information directly online to the client portal, and you can get real-time update from your transaction specialist as we are funding deals. Not only this, you can upload documents safe and securely. You can chat live with a transaction specialist there, and you can actually generate custom statements of your accounts and your investments as well. So I know as we move forward into today's day and age, guys, cyber hackers are out there. Try to keep this information out of your email. Due to that, we've really added all of these features to the client portal, not only so we can fund investments faster, but so you can keep your information safe and secure as well. So be sure to check that out. And like I was saying, today's class is one of many classes that we host here at Quest. Today's class you can actually rewatch on YouTube channel with all of our other classes that we host at Quest. And again, hopefully I'm not having internet issues right now, but be sure to go check out our events online. We do a ton of webinars. We're bringing back our in-person events. I'm so excited about, and we'll actually doing that this August. So this August, if you guys are in Houston, Austin, Dallas, come check out our grand opening events. We actually have really big classrooms in 3 of our offices. We host learns, we host mixers and events, and you can find all of this information online. And if you guys are not local, we will continue to live stream all of our events online. We will continue to have the virtual working happy hours. And if you guys have questions, let us know. Myself and Katie are kind of 2 of our really core members in our marketing department, and we're working real hard to bring these events back. And when we can't wait to see you guys in person, so you can not only learn and get the information, but so you can also network with other real estate investors as well. Now, I do have a bit of a for you guys today. To be honest, I meant to take this little part of bottom out of these slides. I didn't mean to give away free tickets to the Summer Intensive today, but It's in the, so let's go ahead and do it. We have a big event coming up starting next Friday, and that is our Quest Summer Intensive. It'll actually 3 days, 3 Fridays in a row. You can get recordings with your ticket list. And I do have a few limited tickets I can give away. So if you want to send me an email, I'll give you a free ticket to that. Again, I didn't mean to do that. I copied the slide from another small presentation I did yesterday. But what the heck, it's here. Let's go do it. This Quest Summer Intensive will be a great event. It's going to cover all three different investment types that you can hold in an IRA. And at the end of each day, we are actually going to bring on our transaction specialist. So you can apply all of the information that you have learned through the day. And you can actually learn how to do that investment in your array and how to make that transaction go smoothly. So this will actually be our last big online conference for probably the rest of the year. So if you guys are in Texas, not in Texas, join this event. It is 100% online. And again, you guys can benefit from me for getting this out of my side. So I hope you guys take advantage of that opportunity there. Now, we are in a new quarter. So we do have a promotion going on now through the end of this month. If you transfer or roll over funds into your account, we are giving away up to $500 in fee credits, depending on how much you're looking to transfer or roll over into Quest. We'll give you potentially up to $500 that'll go towards your transaction fees. What's really great about promotion, it is not just for new clients, it is for existing clients as well. So if you are a new client, be sure to use the promo code reward21. And if you're an existing client, just email our team of IRA specialists. That email is sales@questtrust.com, and help you get those credits out and help to walk you through the process of moving more funds into Quest. This is a great opportunity for you guys who might have upcoming investments and might as well take advantage of this promotion and get fee credits while you are at it. Now, that's the end of my quick short announcements for you guys. Again, I hope this came through okay. My internet for some reason really spotty today, so I do apologize about that, but reach out to us. We're always happy to help answer your questions. We love educating investors, and we love helping you guys connect with other people in your investor community as well. You can chat live with an area specialist in our website. You can give us a call. You can send us an email. And if you have any questions, again, just let us know. Be sure to send a chat to me or Katie here in the Zoom chat. And without further ado, I would like to go ahead and bring on Brad Sumrok. You guys will notice that this presentation, a bit of a time stamp on it. Brad is actually gearing up for their biggest event of the year that also starts this Friday. It is their MatCon event. It's a really strong lineup of speakers. I'm sure he's going to touch on this in his presentation, but I do want to let you guys know that I do have Crystal Thomas here in the background. She works with Brad's team. She is one of their mentors, helps to work with a lot of the Brad Sumrok students out there. So if you guys have questions, even though Brad might not be able to answer that here today, Crystal is here in the chat with us throughout the presentation. So she'll be able to help answer any questions that you guys have. And if you want to go ahead and get Brad's presentation geared up, that's about the end of my announcements here. And again, I hope that came through okay, and I hope you guys enjoyed the presentation. I will see you at the end of the class.
Hey, Haley, thank you for that introduction. And I'm super excited to be here today and talking about something near and dear to my heart. Obviously, that topic is apartment investing. But today we're going to talk about leveling up as an apartment investor. So as myself, a millionaire multifamily investor, and somebody that has personally mentored and educated hundreds and hundreds of people to become millionaire multifamily investors, today I'm going to talk about the traits or the blueprint or the framework to be a millionaire multifamily investor. And what does that take? Okay. Because there's a lot of people investing in apartments, but everybody isn't getting the same results. And so what I found is I reverse engineered and I said, hey, let me look at all the people, my mentors, people like Grant Cardone, people like myself, and my students that have achieved extraordinary results. Again, many of these people are ordinary people that have achieved extraordinary results. So that's what I'm going to talk about today. So let me go ahead and share my screen here and hit the play button. So here we go. And a little bit about me. My first investment property ever was a 32-unit apartment building. And I started with no previous experience. So I did not start with single family rentals, fix and flips, wholesaling. Since then, I have owned, it's now 35 apartment buildings, over 6,500 units, 18, not 16, went full cycle. And me and my wife, Jen, who's pictured there with me, paid zero legally in taxes since 2018. Now, we started mentoring others in 2006. And when we formed our own company in 2013, our students have purchased tens of thousands of units. It's actually near 40,000 units and almost $3.5 billion in total purchase price. And like I said earlier, we have literally helped hundreds of students become millionaire apartment investors, and many have quit their jobs and many have made mega millions, okay, like 5-10 million plus in a few short years. So that's what we're going to be talking about. I just want you to let you know that, like many of you, I studied hard, went to college, took out debt, and I did all of that. And the ultimate result was I got a good job, 17 years, 8 to 5, worked hard, struggled, was fired, was laid off. And it wasn't until 2001 that I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and actually had the courage to go to a real estate investing seminar where I learned the fundamental mechanics of how to invest in apartment buildings. And that changed my life. And like I said in my introduction, these are just a few of the 19 properties that I currently own. Our cash flow is over $1 million a year. That's just the cash flow from our apartment buildings, okay? And we've sold 18 properties over 19 years, sold over 3,100 doors, returned tens of millions of dollars to our investors with great returns, okay? And these are the 3 properties in 2018, 19, and 20 that we purchased that gave us enough tax benefits in terms of depreciation in order to offset our earned income from our other businesses that we have substantial earned income. And I'm proud to say that 2021 is going to be year 4 in a row of legally paying no taxes. And how do we do that? We buy apartment buildings, we invest our own capital in apartment buildings, and we get substantial depreciation that allows us to offset income from our other real estate related businesses. Okay. So it's a phenomenal business. And I am uniquely qualified to teach how and the components to becoming a millionaire multifamily investor. Again, this is highly personal. But you could see in 1990, when I graduated college, I actually graduated in 89. Well, my net worth was negative because I had student loans. And it took me 10 years in corporate America to build up a $500,000 net worth. And I started investing apartments in 2002. And by 2005, my net worth was 2 million. By 2010, it was 4 million. 2015, 10 million. And now we are tracking to 50 million that will be hitting this year. And so if you look at this curve, this is not a linear growth business. That is an exponential growth business. But to grow exponentially, you need to have an exponential mindset, not an incremental mindset. So I'm going to introduce to you now the Millionaire Multifamily Framework. And as you could read these 6 key steps, these 6 key competencies, you can see the first one is mindset. So when I talk about mindset, for me, the first big mindset shift happened from reading Robert Kiyosaki's second book, The Cash Flow Quadrant, where he talks about E, which stands for employee, S, which stands for self-employed, B, which stands for business owner, and I, which stands for investor. And he talks about how B's and I's pay less in taxes, and we pay less in taxes because we are building companies and hiring people and buying assets and doing the things that the government wants us to do. Okay. So B's and I's are tax preferred quadrants from our partners in the US government. Okay. And that's very powerful. Whereas E is you basically go to work and you have a W-2 and you work for somebody else. And there's nothing wrong with that. You can make a lot of money. Most of us don't. I didn't. I went to not 1, but 2 degrees so I could become an E and make $120,000 a year and be fired and be laid off. A lot of people want to be an S and they become self-employed and then they pay even more taxes than the E's. Okay. So that was one of the things after reading Rich Dad is I wanted to be a business owner and an investor. And that's why I went into apartments. So I'm an apartment business owner and I'm an apartment investor. And now I'm also a business owner in the mentoring, seminar, and education business. When I talk about incremental mindset versus exponential, we look at the incremental line is you get, gradual linear improvements over time. And this is what I think about when I think of somebody that has a job, it maybe gets like a 3% raise a year. Okay. And I've been out of corporate America so long, I don't know what the standard raises are now, if there are any standard raises. When I was in corporate America, it was typical to get less than a 5% raise every year. If you did absolutely amazing, maybe you got 5 or a little bit more. If you were a good performer, you got 2 or 3%. And if you were an average performer, maybe you got nothing. And if you were a below average performer, you didn't get to keep your job. And being a business owner allows you to set your own course. And being a business owner, we don't become obsolete as we get older like we do in corporate America. So I think about how am I going to double and triple my net worth every 5 years? And when you're a business owner, there's no limitations. And there's no limitations for you, even as a newbie apartment investor. And if you're not a newbie, then you want to get on that track even faster to truly 10 times your net worth. Okay. So all successful people, and we're still on mindset, have a very powerful why. In 2001, my why was to leave the rat race, the corporate rat race, in 5 years or less. So I could live life on my terms, and I wanted to have the cash flow to pay for my lifestyle so that I never, ever, ever have to work again unless I want to. And ultimately, I want to live my life and enjoy my life to the fullest. And I came up with a financial freedom number of $10,000 a month. So I want to ask you, have you thought about what is your financial freedom number so that you never ever have to work again unless you want to? And for most people, this financial freedom number changes. My initial financial freedom number was $10,000 a month because that was my earned income amount. And I wanted to replace my job income with my apartment investing income. Does that make sense? So I had an initial financial freedom number of 10,000 a month, but now, of course, it's much higher than that. Okay, it's much, much higher. I mean, our cash flow is over $1 million a year, and I want to get that cash flow, to a $2 million a year is my next target. So that the cash flow from my apartments is over $2 million a year. And we also have goals. Goal setting is an important part of mindset. So some of my goals for 2021, I'm going to sell deals, and I want to reinvest those capital gains into more deals as a general partner. And I have earned income from our mentoring company, our brokerage company, and I'm going to invest that surplus earned income into new deals. And I don't want to pay any tax. And so in order to do that, I'm going to reinvest our earnings and have ownership into apartment buildings so that we could get depreciation. And then over the next 1 or 2 years, we're going to add $10 million to our net worth. And just this year, I want to add about 500K additional cash flow. Okay, 500K this year, maybe another 500K next year in cash flow. So that's an example of mindset. Okay, and I'm going to cover these quickly because I only have 20 or 30 more minutes right now. So next, I want to talk about mechanics. Now, mechanics, there's a whole laundry list of mechanics, and they include how to do things, how to analyze deals, how to invest in deals, how to manage deals, how to do anything. Okay. So in the interest of time, I'm just going to talk about how to invest in apartments, and there's 3 ways. Okay. And as a multifamily investor, you could be a passive investor. And by the way, this is where if you have a self-directed retirement account, which I still do from my corporate America days, I use my SD IRA to invest passively or as a limited partner LP in a apartment deal. I also like to be a general partner where I put the deals together, find the deals, analyze the deals, raise the money, and be responsible and accountable for everything from the acquisition to the due diligence, to the closing, to the investor relations, into managing the property and the management company and doing the asset management. And that's what the deal sponsors do, or alternatively called the general partner. And then the third way is to buy your own deals with your own money. And I do that too. So I do all of these 3 ways. Okay. Now, I just want to compare and contrast the difference between the returns of a passive investor versus a deal sponsor. So I have a base case here where we go buy a $10 million deal. And the $10 million deal, by the way, we're going to assume rents are $1,000 a month. We're going to assume it's 100 units. And we're going to assume that we could get a 70% loan. And we're going to assume that we need a 30% down payment. So as a passive investor in that deal, we're going to assume that you invest $50,000. Okay, now this $50,000 could be in cash, or this $50,000 could be in a self-directed IRA. So if we look at how you get paid as a passive investor, you're going to get paid a cash return every year. Now, I'm going to assume the deal generates a 10% cash return. So if you put in $50,000, 10% would be $5,000 a year. But we're also assuming in this case that there's going to be a profit split between the passive investors and the general partner at 80-20. So if the cash return is 10%, then 20% of that 10% goes to the GP. Okay. So as the passive investor, you're going to get about a $4,000 a year return. And then when you sell the deal, I'm going to assume that 50% of your equity is returned at the sale. So 50% of your down payment would be $25,000, assuming we invest 50. And a part of that sales proceed, 20% of that sales proceed also goes to the GP. Okay. So over a 5-year period, as a passive investor, you would put 50,000 in, you would get 4,000 a year in cash flow. So that's 20,000 over 5 years. And then at the sale, you would get another 20,000. So your 50,000 over 5 years would be worth about 90,000, which would be a 40%, a $40,000 return, which is 80% over 5 years. So that's about a 16% average annual return. Now, if we look at what the GP gets paid, well, the GP, we're going to assume, gets an acquisition fee. So we add that in. They get the same return on their cash of, if they put in 50,000, they get the same return as the LP at 4,000 a year in cash flow. But now they're getting 20% of the total cash flow. So on an annual basis, that's another 60,000 a year. And then there's fees to manage the asset, which are usually based on a percentage of the monthly revenue that the apartment building brings in. So in this case, we're going to say 2% of the total collections. So we have 100 units times 1,000 a month times 2%. So that's 24,000 a year. And then we also get the 20% gain at the sale. So again, we're going to assume that we buy for 10 million, and we're going to assume a 3 million down payment. And so we're going to assume that we get a 50% return on our down payment. So we sell for 1.5 million and profit, and that 1.5 million profit is split 80-20 between the GP and the LP. So the GP will get another 300,000 at the sale. So you can see here that on the same $50,000 investment, the general partner is making 860,000, whereas the limited partner is making 40. Now, look, I'm not trying to tell you to be a general partner, but I'm just saying it's part of my strategy. Okay. So being a passive is part of my strategy too. And so I do invest in deals passively with excess capital, IRA money, but I also love being a GP because that's where I really 10x my net worth, like I showed you earlier. Here's an example of 2 deals that I sold in 2020 where I was a part of a GP group. So there were me and 2 other GPs in these deals. Now, these were big 300 unit plus deals, and you can see one of them sold, and these were just the sales proceeds, 887,000 deposited in my bank account, and I invested 100 in that deal. And then the other, I invested 100 in that deal and had 801,000 deposited in my bank account. So you could see the power of being a GP. Okay. So like I said, I just touched on some of the mechanics, but mechanics think numbers, think asset management, think KPIs, think, getting the debt, raising the equity, the tactical things that you need to do and the skill sets you need to have to be successful. Okay. The third part of the framework is how we save money and how we make money. And I already showed you some of how we make money by being a GP. Now, this slide here shows the multifamily ROI. And again, I've already talked about this, but this is a summary. The 3 main ways we make money is we have cash flow. Okay. Now, most of you have a financial freedom number, and your financial freedom number is going to be the cash flow that you get from your investments. And your initial financial freedom number is probably going to be a number that equals your job income, or it's going to be a number that meets or exceeds your living expenses. Okay. So most deals, just as a budget, there's no guarantees, there's no promises. Okay. These are budgetary numbers based on past performance in my 19 years of experience. Most deals will return somewhere around a 10% cash return. Could be higher, it could be lower. So just as a budgetary, what you want to think is, if I invest 50 into a deal, I'm going to get 5 back. If I invest 100, I'm going to get 10 back a year. Now, if there's a GP LP split, then you got to factor in the GP piece, like I showed you on the previous slide. Okay. Your net worth is impacted by sales proceeds. Okay. And I showed you how, being a GP, you could really, depending on if you're the sole GP or if you're a group of people where you're splitting the GP roles and you're splitting the GP fees, being a GP is the fastest way to 10 times your net worth. It's the fastest way. Okay. But it also takes work. It's not passive. Being a GP is not passive. And then there's the tax component. When you start making more money, taxes is the biggest expense. And we could see employees are taxed at up to 40% of their income, and self-employed are taxed at up to 55 or 60% of their income. But we could see that business owners are typically taxed at 20% of the business income, and investors are taxed at 0% if they implement the right strategies. So you can just look at the ESBI chart and decide, where do you want to be? So at this point, again, I'd like for you to think about, what's your initial financial freedom number? Or if you've already achieved that, what is your next level financial freedom number? Step 2 is, where is your net worth now? And where do you want it to be in 5 to 10 years? And it should be 5 to 10x. That is exponential thinking, not incremental. And then also think about, like, how much tax did you pay this year in 2021? You have either already filed your return or you're in an extension phase. But at this point, you should have a feel for your taxable income, your tax burden, and how can you reduce it legally. And one of the best ways to do that is by owning real assets. So you can take a minute now or just write down, setting targets. And when we talk about setting targets for net worth, this is an example of what happens to your net worth if it doubles every 5 years. And if it's $500,000 in 2020, by 2040, it could be 8 million if it just doubles every 5 years. Now, this is if we just increase that from doubling every 5 years to 2.5 times every 5 years. It'll start at $500,000 and could be 20 million in 20 years. So this is 2xing your net worth every 5 years. And this is 2.5xing your net worth every 5 years. So you can do that. And I've done this myself. And so have a lot of my students. And that has enabled me to, look, some people say, hey, Brad, I make enough money. Isn't it selfish and greedy to want to make all that money? And my argument is, no, it's actually selfish and greedy, if I may say so, if you have the ability to make 8 figures, but you choose to play small and only make 6. And so by making 8 figures, we're able to give 7 figures away to charity. And so me and my wife have really gotten into charity over the last several years, that our income and our net worth has just skyrocketed. So we are able to make a bigger impact on the world by thinking bigger and playing bigger. And so can you. So we talked about mindset, mechanics, and money. Gosh, there's so much to cover here, but I'm still going to want to touch on these last 3 pieces of the framework. So how am I doing on time? I have about 10 or 15 more minutes. So we're going to talk about markets, and I have a very a 19-year recipe for selecting the right market. We want to be in landlord and business-friendly environments. We want to be in environments that have cap rates at or above the U.S. average, job growth above the U.S. average, population growth above the U.S. average, affordability gap above the U.S. average. Affordability gap is if we look at the median income family and assume they're either going to rent a median priced apartment or buy a median priced home, what is the difference in their payment? So we look for markets where that median family, say the family that makes $55,000 a year, and if it costs $400,000 to buy a median priced home, but only costs $1,100 a month to rent a median priced apartment, they're more likely to be a renter. Okay, does that make sense? So in many markets, your PITI is a home payment is going to be a lot more than your rent. So in those markets, people are more likely to rent. And then we also will really want to understand local markets and submarkets and the market cycles. So when we select the right market and then dominate that market, we're going to have higher returns and lower risk. And these are some of the top markets that I have selected for 2021. So I'll let you just take a look at that for a minute. So there's so much more that I could talk about in markets. How do you build teams? How do you find the deals in the markets? How do you play monopoly and start dominating a submarket? How do you build up economies of scale in markets? How do you get a competitive advantage by doing all that in a market or a submarket? Okay, I just don't have time to talk about all that today. But I wanted to touch on markets. And now we're going to talk about marketing. And when most real estate investors hear about marketing, they think about, well, I got to market the buyers, I got to market the sellers. Well, look, we're not doing wholesaling. So I'm not talking about building a list of buyers. I'm not talking about building a list of sellers. But here's what I am talking about. Your personal brand. Okay. Who is Brad Sumrok? What has Brad Sumrok done? Why should I invest with Brad Sumrok? Just show of hands, how many of you have heard of Brad Sumrok? Well, that didn't happen overnight. Brad Sumrok built up his brand. I built up my brand in the mentoring business by actually helping people succeed. I built up my brand as an apartment investor by buying deals and delivering projected or above projected returns. So there is a methodology to building up a brand. Now, a lot of people want to have a company brand, like Quest Trust Company. Okay. Think of a personal brand. One of my mentors, Tony Robbins. Tony Robbins' company is Robbins Research International. But nobody says, hey, I'm going to go to the Robbins Research International event. They say, I'm going to see Tony Robbins. I'm going to the Tony Robbins event. I'm going to the Tony Robbins event. Other companies, Quest Trust Company, they have a brand. And again, what do you think of when you think of Quest Trust Company? I think about the top self-directed IRA custodian. They're fast, they're efficient, they're knowledgeable, they know what they're doing, and they handle all aspects of retirement accounts. And I'm probably not hitting everything here. I'm just sharing with you what I think of. Okay, so the thing is, there is a steps involved to building up a personal brand. There are steps involved to building up a company brand. And of course, some of these steps involve marketing and social media and all of that. But there are also traditional steps that are principles that are timeless. And so like, I'm always working on my brand. My brand is my personal name. It's Brad Sumrok, Apartment Investor Mastery. Our company is actually called Sumrok Multifamily Mentoring, but we don't use that as our brand. We use our brand as my name. So when people think of me, they think about my mentoring program, my deals, my brokerage, and my company. Okay. So why do we want to have a brand? Well, if people don't know you or know about you, it's less likely that they're going to want to do business with you. And as an apartment investor, it's really important that we build networks of people. So you want to have networks of investors. I mean, look, raising money is a skill set. And no matter how much money you could raise, you always want to be able to raise more. So the most successful people I know are constantly building up their brand so they can raise more money. Think about Grant Cardone, that has raised over $500 million on social media. Well, he built up a brand. Let me ask you, did you ever hear of Grant Cardone 10 years ago? I didn't. I did not hear of him 10 years ago. So in the last, 5 to 7 years, he went from, a sales trainer, and he was already a multimillionaire, but he went from running Cardone Training Technologies and teaching people how to sell to probably being the best known capital raiser in the apartment industry. And he did that by following a proven steps. Now, there's a lot of different ways to build up your personal brand and learn marketing. And so I just wanted to touch on this. Okay. But these are skill sets that you need to know if you really want to level up in 10 times your apartment investing business. And finally, I want to talk about mastery. And mastery is like the all-encompassing icing on the cake. Mastery involves immersing yourself. Sometimes it involves getting away from home and going to an event. I mean, look, I go to a lot of Tony Robbins events. We get on an airplane, we lock ourselves in a room with Tony and several hundred or several thousand like-minded people for a few days. So this is an immersive experience where you're free from distractions, where you're focused, where you're present. Okay. So that's one of the steps to mastery. And then by repeating the skills that you learned. So we go to seminars, we go to events, and then we learn skill sets, and then we repeat them. And we have accountability partners. We meet other people at these events. We meet peers, we meet friends, we meet accountability partners. Okay. So by being a part of a community of like-minded people and having accountability partners, you're more likely to master the skill sets. By having proximity to mentors and their mentors, like me and my wife, again, we go to Tony Robbins events, and not only are we mentoring under Tony, but we have proximity and access to Tony's team and Tony's mentors. So whether it's his spiritual mentor, his physical body mentor, the person that does, his body work and his whatever it is they are doing. Okay, they bring their people to these events on the stage, and then because I'm at those events now, I have access to those people. So it's also having this mindset of you've never made it. Okay, a lot of people, I don't want to brag, but a lot of people look at me, and I've just had some team members to my house in Florida, and they were like, Brad, you've made it. You live in this multi-million-dollar beachfront home. It's beautiful. It's finished out like nothing we've ever seen. And, you've made it. You don't have to work anymore. And my mindset is I'm going to keep going because I want to keep learning. I want to keep growing. I want to keep contributing. So, I'm only 54 years old. I am not ready to just say, yes, I've made it, and now I'm going to sit on a beach and drink margaritas. I look at my mentors like Grant Cardone is 61 or 62. When he was my age of 54, people barely knew who he was. And I look at that and say, wow, from the time I'm 54 to the time I'm 62, I'm going to be like a household name across the world. I'm going to make a huge impact. I'm going to help millions of people become financially free. I'm going to have over $1 billion in assets of apartments. My cash flow is going to be 10 million a year. My net worth is going to be hundreds of millions of dollars. I'm going to live life to the fullest and have absolute financial freedom. And the legacy I leave is not when I die, but it's the impact I make when I'm alive in this world. And in order to do that, I got to keep growing. I want to constantly grow my mindset and improve my mindset. I want to constantly grow my skill set, the mechanics, all the how-tos. I want to constantly get better in dominating markets and expanding into new markets. I really need to level up my game in marketing. And I need to keep making more money and continuing to not pay taxes legally. So I don't believe I've made it yet. Okay. And again, I met a guy the other day that said, Brad, I make 6 figures. Like, what do I need to work so hard for? And I'm looking at the guy and he's in his 30s. And I'm just telling you what I'm thinking. I'm thinking you're lazy and you're selfish. There's so much more you can do. And you're just, putting it on easy street. And I'll, again, just think about this. Kmart used to be the biggest retailer in the world, and they got put out of business. Where is Sears? Where is Blockbuster Video? These companies rested on their laurels. They failed to grow. They failed to innovate. They failed to pivot when times got tough. How many of us had a better year during the pandemic or as we're coming out of the pandemic than we've ever had before? I know that I have. But some people went out of business. They didn't pivot. Okay. They didn't have reserves. They didn't innovate. They didn't find out how to add value to their clients or their prospects. And as a result, they're out of business. Okay. So these are the steps to mastery: immersing yourself, having more proximity, being a part of a tribe, a part of a community of like-minded people, and being committed to continuing to improve in all aspects of your life. My mentor, Tony Robbins, says, who you spend time with is who you become. And that's why I want to share with you our mission. It's to impact and mentor over 1 million people to achieve financial freedom, investing in apartments, and following my proven framework. It works. It's proven. We've done it with hundreds and hundreds of other people. We could do it with you. And we want to uplift and improve the lives of the people living in our properties in those communities. And many of them are working class communities and working class people. So I want to invite you to come to an immersive experience so that you can begin to learn how to master your mindset, how to master the mechanics of apartment investing, how to master saving money and making money, how to master selecting markets and dominating markets, how to master your marketing. And I've assembled some of the best people in the world to do this. Damon John, the people's shark, we are actually going to pitch him. Some of us are going to get to pitch him our deals. And then we're going to learn from him on how well we're pitching and marketing. Grant Cardone is going to talk about what he's doing right now in apartments and how he's continuing to raise tens of millions of dollars online. Jesse Itzler, you got to check this guy out if you haven't heard of him. But started a company, sold it to Warren Buffett in his 20s, a multi-millionaire. And this guy is like the ultimate, life performer. Like, he puts his physical body, his business in extreme positions and commitments. And, this guy is an amazing mentor and teacher. Tom Wheelwright is going to be talking about saving taxes. Pete Vargas works with the best people in the world on making your message matter. Russell Gray is going to talk about building your brand and building your network. Kenny McElroy is going to talk about infinite returns. Don Brunner is the incoming chairman-elect to the National Apartment Association. Dave Marcinkowski, Charlie Young, these guys dominate their markets. They dominate in management. They dominate in mechanics. Robert Helms dominates in mindset and relationship building. Dragan Tchaikovsky is one of Tony Robbins' top peak performance trainers, and he's going to talk about how we crush life and teach us skill sets to have a level 10 quality of life. My wife, Jennifer, is going to be talking about how she works with me and our company and her role in the company as my partner, and how she brings, feminine energy and fun into the equation. Arlene Garza built up a portfolio from over 200 units to over 2,000 units, and they have a family business and they're leaving a legacy to their children. So all this and more is going to be covered in AIM NatCon. Okay, and the good news is there's still tickets left. There's a handful of in-person seats left, and there's still a virtual option as well. So whether you want to do this from home or whether you do it in person in Dallas, there's an option for you. This is the ticket map. You can find all that on the website about what's included. And again, the VIP in person is sold out. So those are the prices. That's my offer. And let's get on the path to becoming a millionaire real estate investor, a millionaire apartment investor. And I just want to close with this. 1 year from today, you will wish you had started. If you believe in the naysayers, if you believe in waiting until the crash, look, the prices of real assets is skyrocketing. 40% of all the money in circulation today, of all the dollars, were not in circulation 2 years ago. The more money they print, the lower the value of that money becomes, but the higher the value of real assets become. So get into the game. Let me help you. Learn from me and my hand-selected team of speakers and mentors and educators, July 16th through 18th, and I'll see you there. So there it is. I stopped sharing. I hope I didn't go over time. And I want to thank the Quest Trust Company so much for allowing me to have this platform and share with you the steps, the proven steps to becoming a millionaire real estate investor, a millionaire apartment investor. And again, I am uniquely qualified to teach you this because I've done it myself, and I've helped so many hundreds of others do it as well. And I hope you're the next one to do it with me. And let's get started in July in just a few short days. See you then. So I'm going to stop now and turn it back over to the folks at Quest. Thank you so much.
Thanks everyone for joining us today. Be sure to grab tickets to Brad's events. Haley just sent the link to join. I'll resend it here in a minute. But thanks for joining. See you at AIM NatCon, and then see you at our summer intensive. Y'all have a great weekend. Thank you.